The fourth phase of design thinking is prototypes. In this phase, we are able to experiment in order to drive innovation. We want to get a feel for how viable they are without investing a lot of time or resources into doing so. Prototypes are how you start bringing your ideas to life, ready for testing. A new prototype is created with each iteration of an idea until the final prototype closely resembles what the final product will become. Prototypes can be physical or virtual. We should be prototyping and experimenting early and often as long as we are certain we are solving the right problem. It's important to do this because experimentation helps us reduce risk and increases our knowledge by testing our hypotheses and validating our findings. A prototype is a physical or digital model that you can show people and get them to test and comment on. The purpose of prototyping is to get ideas out of your head and into the world. When we prototype, we are concerned with quantity, not quality. Fidelity concerns the level of detail and functionality that is in your prototype. Prototyping is generally separated into two main categories, such as 1. Low-fidelity prototyping like paper models or sketching. These are fast, cheap, and easy to make changes to. They give us quick insights into the functionality of the product and can be produced by anyone. 2. High-fidelity prototyping like prototype cars or near-complete websites. These are more intricate, engaging, and interactive. They provide greater reliability and are highly interactive and therefore better for testing. On the other hand, they are more costly and often consume more time. High-fidelity prototypes are typically the last line of testing. Both prototypes have pros and cons. However, different types of prototype options are often used on the same product, with low-fidelity prototypes for the beginning stages and high-fidelity prototypes towards the end when testing questions become more refined. There are many examples of prototyping, such as a small-scale model, sketches, storyboards, role-playing, paper prototypes, digital wireframes, Wizard of Oz, mock-ups, animations, 3D printed interactions. Prototyping helps us to test functionality of our product service. It also helps us empathize with our users by deepening our understanding of users and their needs. When we prototype, we are concerned with quantity, not quality. It is normal to experience failure when prototyping. In these instances, we want to fail fast so that we can rule out hypotheses, save costs, and move on to new iterations. Each iteration needs to be evaluated, and this is where prototyping metrics come to the fore. Prototyping metrics help us to measure progress, gather feedback, and maximize learning. Metrics help us to compare our different prototypes, identify areas for improvement, and communicate our results to our team and stakeholders. However, in order to set our metrics, we first have to define our prototype goals. What are we trying to achieve, learn, and test about our prototype? Prototype goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and cognizant of time restraints. The goals should also be defined in relation to our problem statement. What does the user need and why? Our metrics can be focused on many things: behavioral metrics, number of clicks, time spent, satisfaction, completion rate, etc. Outcome metrics, revenue, retention, referrals, or impact. Learning metrics, insight, feedback, or hypotheses. The right metrics depend on what your goals are. When we create prototypes, we want to keep in mind how it is that we are going to solicit feedback. One such way of doing so is to use the I like, I wish, what if method. This method is a more positive way of critiquing and can help us to solicit honest feedback in test sessions from users. Why? Because users are able to voice their opinions in a critical but positive manner. Let's now consolidate by reviewing the key takeaways for Stage 4, prototyping. Prototyping explores ideas in more details before testing them with potential customers and users. The concept of human-centered approach must be applied in prototyping. Prototyping allows designers to think about their solutions as a tangible product rather than an abstract idea and collects users' feedback. The phases of prototyping includes defining the goal, identifying core elements, manufacture, evaluation, and presentation. Innovation and iteration cycles of prototyping are important for learning to occur. Prototypes help us put our ideas into the world. By creating prototypes, we can check for functionality and gain user feedback. Prototypes can be used across various phases of the design process. Lo-fi prototypes are particularly useful early in the process, whereas hi-fi prototypes are most beneficial as we approach the end of the design process. There are many methods and techniques to prototype. Prototyping is an iterative process. We want to arrive at our final prototype after gaining sufficient understanding and knowledge of our users' needs. We should be prototyping early and often. And while doing so, we should have our human-centered approach fully intact. When we prototype, we want to first define our goals clearly. What is it that we are trying to learn, test, etc.? Then we want to set user behavior, learning, and outcome metrics to help us understand and measure our prototypes. There are many ways to collect and analyze data, including incorporating our users into the prototype design. We can do this by storyboarding, prototyping for empathy through activities like role-playing. The I like, I wish, what if method helps us to improve our prototypes and create iterations that better meet our users' need. We want to always remain open to feedback and insights while have clear goals and targets for each prototype we make.